Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to continue working on our Trammel Toy. So last time we worked on these slide blocks, and then after I was done, I realized I had forgotten in the pin slide block, which in my case is this one, has a 0.25 fillet rounding over this edge, and I didn't make that. So can we please go to your slide blocks? And let's fix that right now. You don't need to put a picture of it because I'll trust that you're just going to do that. So we're going to click on fillet, make our fillet 0.25, and we're just going to click on this edge. And to be careful, it's not a surface. It's that edge right there. And the same thing on the other side, that edge right there. Done. All right, and we're done. We've got it good to go. So, oops, but we fixed it pretty quick. And now we're ready to move on with the corner blocks. So the corner blocks are going to be these four pieces right here. The slide blocks slide through them, and then we will deal with these pins and this little handle and all that stuff later on. All right, so let's get started. We need to begin by creating a new part studio. So let's do that. Create part studio. And where it's named, let's rename that tab and call it corner blocks. And while we're at it, I never named the first one that is the base plate. Let's go to that one and rename it as base. I think would be good enough. I try and keep short names to kind of keep these things where I can see them. So let's go ahead and get started with this. Now, this is going to be a little tricky because we're going to, rather than draw all sorts of crazy stuff all over again, remember, I want you to do this in the laziest possible way, right? Bill Gates said at one point, when I want to get something done fast, I find the laziest person I can that has those skills, and they'll find the easiest way to do it. So we're going to be lazy. So go back to your base, and we're going to go back to sketch 1. That's where we did all those holes and all that sort of stuff. Right click, we're going to copy that sketch. Okay. Now we're going to go back into our corner blocks that we just started. We're going to right click on the top view, make a new sketch. Okay. I like to turn off the planes by hitting P, and of course we're going to end to view normal. And now we're going to right click and paste sketch entities. Boom. Okay, there we go. All right, now we've got all that stuff that we can use, and we're going to say okay. Now, this is not, the origin point is here, which is a little weird, but that's okay. In fact, I'm going to just turn that off for now. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click on the top view to get this close to me. Now, we're going to make the undersides, which are down here, these little notches down here. So we're going to start by building up from that, and we need to get some measurements. So here we go. Now, first things first is I am going to extrude these two shapes. They're going to have a part that sticks down into that base, into those slots for 1/4 inch. So we're going to extrude that one and that one, but I'm going to go the opposite direction. Okay. Now it's going to make two parts, and that's okay. But we're going to go 1/4 inch, 0.25. Good. So we've got those. Now, sketch got consumed because the program does that for you. It assumes you don't want to use it anymore, but I do. So let's turn back on sketch 1. Okay. All right. So cool. So now we are going to start with a new sketch on this surface. So let's go right here on this and new sketch. Okay. And for normal. Now, we have to make, this whole thing is 4.25 across. So believe. Let's measure that to make sure. Measure this line right here, 4.25. All right, so we're going to do some math here and figure out on the slide blocks the part that fits into there and is going to be from here to here, right? So let's measure that from here to here across. And that distance is 0.734. All right. So let's go back to our, to our corner blocks. Okay, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. Now I want it to be a little bit smaller than that. I want it to have some clearance. So I am going to make that rectangle that's going to be extruded actually smaller than I need, so that it has, that slide block has some space. So in order to give some clearance, we are going to draw a rectangle down here from this corner upward. Now I'm just going to click. I'm not going to enter any values yet. Actually, I am going to enter values, but I could go and dimension that if I need to. So this first dimension, whoops, I accidentally clicked off it. So I'll go dimension here from this corner to this corner. And that dimension, the whole thing was 4.25. But I'm going to subtract out 3/4 of an inch because that little slide block was almost 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to do a little more than that to leave some clearance. So we're going to do minus 0.75. But we're going to take that whole thing. You have to do order of operations, folks. It matters. And we're going to divide it by 2. Enter. Okay, and it ends up being 1.75. So it's going to be square, so we'll dimension on the other side to that 1.75. And then let's make all other rectangles. I'm going to show you a little trick here. So I'm going to do this 1.75, not 175, that would not be good. 1.75, 1.75. Now, little trick, you could do that same exact thing again, or you can draw your next two rectangles like this. Well, we'd still have to dimension. I was going to say we can do a linear. Where's my linear? Oh, I'm thinking of another program. Well, we could do horizontal constraint between this and that, and then it will make it the right size. I'm just going to dimension just to make it easier on myself. So let's do this as 1.75. Now it might not let me do the other one because I have it restricted. 1.75, enter. Yeah, see how it's gray? That means that it's a driven dimension. I've already dimensioned over here, so I'm just going to delete this. If you didn't do it this way, you have to make sure it's all black, right? So 1.75. And finally this way. All right, we are good to go with our 1.75 rectangles. Now, we are going to now extrude those upward, but again, we want a little bit of clearance. So let's go back to, I'm going to go ahead and finish this sketch. And we're going to go back to looking at our slide blocks, and let's see what this distance is going up. Okay, so we're going to measure from here to up here and see what that is. 0.355. So we're going to make our distance 0.4 and give it a little bit of clearance to move around in. If we were 3D printing these, we would have to have some clearance to make sure that there's adjustability for the tolerance of those materials. All right, so let's go back up here, and we are going to extrude. Now I'm going to show you a little trick. If you try and extrude and come in here, there's all this different stuff but we can extrude a sketch. Now, I messed up, so which means you messed up. So let's go back, and I kind of forgot in sketch 2, we got to deal with these little holes because those holes are going to go through there. So let's go edit this sketch that has those rectangles we just made. And we need to use these circles that are on here. That one, 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 and oops, I didn't get the circle. I got the center point. Make sure you get the circle and its center point, not just the center point. So see that one up there that's gray? Yeah, make sure you look at that. There we go, to get the circle. Okay, now on this one, this little one that's by itself, if you already clicked on the circle, it's no big deal. But I just want the center point on that one. Click. Now here's why. I am going to make a new circle on here that's slightly smaller than that one. Circle. I'm kind of going to guess at the dimension. Let's make it a 0.125. That's 1/8 of an inch. Click. 0.125 circle. Now, if you already have this one as black, it's fine, but we're going to have to just be careful when we extrude that as to what we're choosing to extrude. All right, so we're good with that. All right, now we are going to extrude. And what we're going to do is we're going to extrude, instead of trying to pick on things, just click Sketch 2. Okay, and it should extrude. Well, no, it's not working. It's wanting to grab everything. All right. Thought I was going to be tricky. Okay, so we're going to have to be careful with what we're doing here. So we're going to extrude. I'm going to choose that area, this area, and oh boy, it's not wanting to do that. I might have to do several extrudes. Let's try and see if I can. Maybe, oh, I know what's happening. I need to turn off Sketch 1. All right, now I should be able to do it. All right, extrude. And let's go to choose Sketch 2. No, it still wants to choose those inside, those things inside. Let's try that again. I'm going to choose this area. Again, I might have to do more than one. This area and that area. This area. And then be careful with this one. If you already did this, we're going to choose around that little circle that I made. This. If you have a bigger circle, that's okay. Let's not even worry about that for right now. And we're going to go to a distance of 0.4. Now, it's going to make separate parts because none of these are connected to each other. But we want this piece down here and this piece to be joined together in this piece. So we are going to choose Add. Now, the merge scope is going to be with these two parts, and that should work. Okay. If it doesn't work for you, just watch again. I'm going to go through this one more time, or you can go back and actually just go back and rewind the video to watch that again and just kind of be careful with what's going on. All right, cool. So we have our 4 corner block parts for the bottom. Now I'm going to go back in, turn on Sketch 1, because I need to be able to see that. I'll look down at the top, and now I'm going to build up this little corner piece, this little part that sticks out, that kind of holds the whole thing down. So we're going to build that one next. So we're going to sketch on this surface, will be just fine, and we're going to make those 4 rectangles kind of like what we made before. So let's click down here, go up here. We're going to do another little bit of measuring, okay, to see how far in we want to go. So on the slide blocks, we want to know what is the distance across here. And again, we're going to subtract more than that out to give a little bit of clearance. So let's measure from there to there is 0.452. So if we go 0.5, we'll give that a little bit of clearance. So let's do that. All right. So this time, my dimension from here to here is going to be in parentheses 4.25 minus 0.5 parentheses divided by 2. Okay, good. And it ends up being 1.875, which is 1 7/8. So let's go ahead and do the other one. 0.18. And then, whoops, I made 0.18. Let's do 1.875. That's better. All right, and make your 4 other rectangles starting from the outside corners those same dimensions. And once you've got those, we're ready to go with the next thing. Now, these holes on just these two, not this one, go through the whole thing. This one will not be projected, but we need to use again, and we're going to click on just these circles. Now, I was going to click there, but that'll give me these edges that I don't want. So I'm going to click on these circles. Again, make sure you're clicking on the circle and not just the center point. And then the same thing down here. I think down here I'll click on this just to show you what will happen if you accidentally click on that and get the whole thing. All right, now we're ready to finish our sketch and extrude. So we're going to extrude. Let's try to see what happens when I choose sketch 3. It should work. All right, that looks pretty good. If that works for you, great. If it didn't work for you, then we will have to choose extrude and go through and click on these things. So notice that on this one where I accidentally clicked on that, it's not getting all of it. So I have to choose both things. So that's what I wanted to illustrate before. Oh, this one's doing that too. Look, it's hitting that one. So you have to be careful and make sure you're getting everything. Okay. And we are going to go to a certain height. Now, before I go to what that height is, I need to determine how far we go, because those little corner, these little blocks actually stick up a little bit above the surface. So this time we have to go less than what the overall height is. Let's find out what the overall height of these things is. So we're going to measure from this surface to that surface, which is 0.844. So we will go down. The first one was 0.4. The second one will be, I don't know, 0.3. I've got it written down what I decided I wanted to do. Let's go 0.45, I think will work. Yeah. Okay. So we will now extrude that to a distance of 0.45. And we are looking pretty good. All right, now the one thing is, notice it's making new parts, which is not what I wanted to have happen. I wanted those to join. I should have only 4 parts. So let's go back to the extrude that I just made. You might have already hit add. My merge scope is going to be all of these 4 parts. Okay, so I'm clicking all of them. It's just, it will merge anything that's touching anything. And we are good to go. We've got our 4 parts. I'm going to go turn off sketch 1 that's been on. All right, looks good. Now you can make them any colors you want. Last thing to do, well, two more things to do. One is, if you'll recall, the thing that I forgot at the beginning of this video was this rounded part. So the corner blocks are actually going to have a fillet in them also. So we're going to orient it when we're looking at the top as the kind of, this is the way we're going to look at it. So lower left, upper right, lower right. And these are the edges that are going to get filleted. It's going to go through here. So we're going to do these four edges. Fillet, we're again going to do 0.25. There's already a clearance built in, so it's fine that it's that same radius. And we're going to choose those four. It's a little tricky to get in there and see them, inside edges, so that when we're looking through here, there is a little slot going through, those rounded edges going through. Okay, cool, we're looking good. All right, now last thing is we're going to look at this and figure out which part is which part, and we're going to name them. So if I hover over here, you can see that upper right one's going. So we're going to rename that as upper right. Let's just put RT. This next one, now yours might actually be in a different order, but my next one is lower left. I think I'll just put up here instead of RT. I'll rename that and just put R for right. This one is upper left. And finally, this one is lower right. Better be lower right. Yep. All right, so let's get this to an orientation looking something like that. Again, you can assign different colors to it if you want. And take a picture of that dude and turn that in. Hopefully that wasn't too long for you. Maybe even got it done during class. And we will see you next time for starting to put it together. All right.